If you've been doing Peloton for a while like me, you may wonder what's happened to some of your favorite former Peloton instructors. Watch to the end because I'm gonna share where they all are now. I actually started using the Peloton back in 2015. I didn't own one myself, but my brother did, and I was hooked. Soon after, I started looking at the Peloton app, which actually was free, wrote a whole blog post about it, linked below, and that's where my journey began. But Peloton actually began in 2012 as a Kickstarter program. Any guesses who the first Peloton instructor was? If you think you know, put it in the comments and I'll let you know at the very end. So I refer to members who have been doing Peloton for a while as OG members. It's not a name I came up with. It's really been used in various Peloton groups. I'm not officially an OG, but I've been doing it long enough that I'm kind of an honorary OG. So now let's see what's happened to some instructors. Some of them left suddenly. Others, we kind of felt like they were leaving. Some have been very involved in the fitness world and still friends with some Peloton instructors today. And others, we really have very little idea where they are now. There's one Peloton instructor who actually left and came back recently. I'll let you know who that is in a bit. My very first ride ever was taken with Coach Little. So Stephen T. Little, or STL, was the first instructor I ever took a class with. I really loved his energy. I sadly didn't get to take as many classes as I liked with him, but he's known for basically starting the heart rate training. He had a lot of fans who were really serious about him and devastated when he left. So what's he up to today? After leaving Peloton for a while, he sold some real estate. It appears that he's living in Colorado. That's the last I've seen of him. If you know otherwise, let me know. He's also a brand ambassador for a motorcycle apparel company, and he's still a personal trainer. So you can find him at STL Fitness and learn more about what he's doing now. He's still into nutrition, strength, and cardio training. Another Peloton instructor who's still really good friends with many of the Peloton instructors, so she comes up very often on social media, is Jennifer Jacobs, otherwise known as JJ. People were shocked when she left. She just had a really good following. She was hard, but also really fun, had great music playlists. Top Gun was probably the fan favorite for years. She was known for her 80s rides. Her last ride was in 2019. And even though she announced she was leaving, it seemed to happen really fast. And nobody really knew why. There were a lot of guesses. Today, you'll find her, she still has her personal training program called the J Method. It's been around for a long time. She's been hired by Beachbody, so you might see her popping up on your social media feed. She's doing lots of strength and cardio workouts. The next instructor, Irene Kramer. You might think, who's Irene Kramer? She used to have a different name before she was married. She left soon after getting married and having a baby. Her name is Irene Schultz, and she is a German Peloton instructor. She was only with Peloton for a very short time, for a couple of years. She announced she was pregnant, left, and then she came back spring of 2024. So you can find her coming back to Peloton today. Oliver Lee. He was a British tread and strength Peloton instructor, and he's the only one who people feel like was actually fired. So nobody really knows why he left. He just kind of left without any explanation. Other Peloton instructors said their goodbyes. He did not. He's back in the UK. We don't really see much of him on social media anymore. So your guess is as good as mine. I assume he's still doing personal training. Chase Tucker was an instructor who was hired when Peloton wanted to really focus on strength workouts, but he wound up being with Peloton for just under 4 years. We don't really know why he left, but it sounded like he wanted to work more on helping others and focusing on mental health. He started his own business called Chase Tucker Solutions, where he still is today, and you can find him on social media, sharing lots of information there. Daniel McKenna. People were heartbroken. I actually love Daniel, was really sad. He was one of my favorite instructors, especially when I first got into strength training. He's known as the Irish Yank. He now does his own thing. We're not really sure why. It was very controversial. People thought it was politically based, but he also left just like Oliver Lee. He was pretty silent when he left, but now we know why. There was actually a lawsuit he brought against Peloton alleging wrongful termination, discrimination based upon his Irish accent and heritage, breach of contract, and some other things. The case is over now, but he is now running his own own personal training program. I've actually thought about signing up for it. It looks pretty amazing. I'll link to that in the link below. Colleen, she started working very early on in 2014, but she ended working with Peloton in 2016. And her entire Peloton library was purged right away. She had a real calmness about her. She was known for her warrior ride. And you can still find her guided meditation. She has a podcast. She has a website called Alter. So I recommend checking out that website to find more about what she's doing now, because you can still do classes and work with her. She has meal plans and courses and other mentorship programs. Marion Berrien Roman, I never took a class with her. She was a co-founder and actually the chief content officer and head coach of Peloton when she started. She left though in 2014. She has a private account on Instagram, so we don't know much, but we know in 2021 she started working at Swerve Fitness, which is another live streaming spin class company. Ella Kay, she's back in Nebraska, her home state, teaching yoga where she lives with her family. Not much is known about her. Antonia DeSantis, she worked at Peloton until 2015. She now lives in Chicago. She opens her own fitness studios and has coaching programs. And she's also an iFit instructor. So if you use other popular equipment like treadmills, you might see her there. Colleen Saban-Yee, she was actually Peloton's first yoga instructor. Back then they called it Beyond the Ride classes. She's still teaching yoga. She has founded a self-care workshop community center along with her husband, and she also owns a yoga studio called Yoga Shanty, Sag Harbor, New York. Kim Fisher. Kim was also a professional dancer. So I do have a blog post where I talk about early careers of instructors before Peloton. As you know, many of them were dancers. He's currently an actor working off Broadway and on various TV shows. Steph Nyman. Since she left Peloton in 2015, she's basically lived around the world. She's lived in France and she opened a Barry's boot camp there. Now today she's living in Milan, Italy. Lisa Nairn, since she left Peloton, she became vice president of content and head instructor at Fiture, and that is a really interesting company. I've never taken a class with them, but it sounds like a Peloton type company. So there are some Peloton instructors who have been around for a while, and I would be devastated if some of them left. We all have our favorites, and we all have ones we don't like for some reason. So many of the Peloton instructors recently have become moms, have gotten pregnant, and Peloton has made it a great place for people to work all through their pregnancy. So let's hope that women are encouraged to stay. Some of the most successful people at Peloton are women, so shout out to that. I don't even want to guess who would be next to leave. I have no idea, and I hope they don't. Peloton is one of those companies where they celebrate how long people have been with them. They celebrate their employees. There are instructors there for 10 years. So Jess King is one of them. Hannah Corbin is also another one who just celebrated her 10-year. Jen Sherman has been there also a long time. And to answer the question, Jen Sherman was the first instructor hired for Peloton. So I hope you enjoyed this. I have tons of Peloton content. I'm linking to the blog post that accompanies this video below. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. I have lots of new content coming out all the time. It goes along with my blog, but it also is just things that I want to share with you in the health and wellness, self-care realm. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm linking to everything that's helpful below. Leave any comments below. I'm happy to answer them.